Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America!
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Today, we're going to be giving you guys a full preview of the upcoming Clasico Nacional. We're going to be recapping a little bit of what happened against Toluca in the Estadio Mediodía and that nightmare of the game that was on Saturday. And then, of course, Christian's going to have to keep you guys up to date with everything going on in and around the world of Coapa. But, of course, as always, joining me today is the New York's hand in hand here. It is none other than AJ and Christian. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. Pretty excited for this upcoming week. Plenty of stuff to talk about tonight, and all in all, just cannot wait for Saturday.
Definitely. Should be an interesting game. Christian, how are you?
Doing good, Ivan. Doing good. I hope everyone's doing well. Like AJ said, excited for tonight. We got a big match on Saturday. Both teams looking to get back on the right track, and should be a good one.
Definitely. And hey, joining us today, as always, it is a member of the Chivas and Norte podcast, and he is going to be trying to convince everyone as to why they shouldn't get their hopes up against Chivas. And of course, welcoming back to the podcast, it is none other than the man himself, Varo, how are you?
What's up, guys? Looking forward to talking about Chivas and America. I'm a fan, so why you should be scared.
Why we should be scared after you had just fired your coach and now you have an intern who, quote unquote, is undefeated, from what I've been reading. So
greatest Chivas coach of all time.
Well, we'll get to dive down into that in just a second. You'll be able to make your case as to why he's going to be rivaling Solari. But gentlemen, let's quickly just briefly go over as to what happened against Toluca, that 3-1 defeat. I think it just goes to say what Chris saying. Let's talk about how predictable that loss against Toluca was and how the best defense, quote unquote, in this league is carried by Memo Ochoa. Christian, what do you have to add on?
Yeah, no, I mean, we were talking about it, before we got on the pod, and not to make any excuses or anything, because Toluca was the better team for 90 minutes, hands down. It's predictable in the sense that, this was America's, third game in the week, going in with the rotational squad. It was always going to be difficult going in there and getting a result, nevertheless a win, right? So I think this is one of the rare cases where I would think that a draw would have sufficed, but, Toluca was just too much for us on Saturday, and they just proved to be the better team for 90 minutes. Every player in America did not perform. And, that's things that we don't have to work on. We were on cloud 9 with this undefeated streak. And maybe it's a good thing that we got brought down a couple of notches before the Clasico, because, there's a little bit less pressure, but also that you're not invincible, you're not untouchable, and you're not this, super team that, needs no fixing up. There's things to work on, especially in the set pieces. And hopefully Solari takes note of that in training this week to get us ready for Saturday.
No, yeah, indeed. And AJ, I think like Christian mentioned, right, there's a kind of accountability in these types of games where you kind of, not necessarily point fingers, because overall everyone had a pretty poor night. But it was just one of these games where I knew it. You felt it coming into the Estadio Mediodía. It's never really a promising place for us. Again, not making excuses like Christian said, because we are America. But you kind of had this feeling that there was this omen about to happen against America that was gonna go in Toluca's favor as soon as you saw that we conceded off the bat.
Yeah, no, we haven't beaten Toluca since the 2019 Apertura. I know how Toluca is. They like to just score from the get-go. If they score from the get-go at this point, they're going to try to keep scoring as much as they possibly can on your team until, the other team is just like, there really isn't nothing we can do. But yeah, no, as much as I really didn't want to see a loss from this America side, it was bound to happen at some point. Maybe it was just an L in disguise, but it is what it is. We learn from the mistakes in this match against Toluca, and we just move on, really.
Indeed, and we got the anti-Americanistas in the chat already. Karin saying that was an awesome Toluca win. Sounds very biased right there. It doesn't sound like a very analytical recap right there of what happened. And then you have Dave One Champ saying, look at how tired the core of the team is, though. All the internationals, no breaks even for the rotational squad, and traveling for CONCACAF Champions League. Again, really good points to make, but being America, being who we are, us kind of, puffing our chests and saying, hace frío en la cima, you can't go out there and have that type of performance. Like,
I
let's
mean,
be
it's still
honest.
cold.
Like,
We're still first.
it,
Just saying.
and
Just saying. Just saying.
by
Just
goal
saying.
differential, and that is about it.
Just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
So again, it's unexcusable, and whilst there's some very good arguments to be made, America should have done better, could have done better. And we won't get into the details of it too, because we want to talk about the Clásico Nacional as much as possible. But again, a game in where if I was gonna say if you were to ask me, but Ivan last week did ask me, would you have rather have sacrificed 3 points this past weekend for 3 points next weekend? I think 100% out of all of us would have said yes. So,
Of course.
No doubt about it. I ain't trying to lose to our rivals, so.
Of course. And talking about rivals, Vado, how are you guys coming into this one? Because it looks like you guys have not only just won your last game coming into the Clasico, but you've also fired your manager, which is like a double win.
I mean, if you're Chivas, yeah, it's a double win, right? We're coming into this game undefeated in our 4 last games. We haven't been conceding that many goals. I think we conceded 1 goal in our last 4 games. We play very boring soccer, so our opponents play very boring soccer as well. But I don't know. I'm feeling hopeful after we fired Vucetic.
So you mentioned that you guys are coming into this one. I mean, quote unquote, yes, you guys are undefeated within your last 4 games. You're talking about 2 wins and 2 draws, promising. For America though, it's talking about last 4 games, it's 3 victories, 1 loss. But overall, we know that these things tend to mean little whenever it comes to Clásico Nacional. But talk to me a little bit more about this interim coach that you guys are going to be having for this Clásico.
Well, we're gonna have Michele Año, who I believe is our youth sporting director, something like that. But he has coached Chivas before. He coached Chivas, I believe, against FC Juarez, I think it was. But he is undefeated as a Chivas coach. Chivas averages 2 goals a game when he is our coach. Averages no goals given as our coach. So he's technically the greatest Chivas coach of all time. Very excited to see what he's gonna do on Saturday night.
So he's got plenty and plenty to lose then, because if he doesn't provide the victory that you guys all want because of his stats, then it looks like the greatest of all coach then ultimately becomes someone else in the history.
He becomes just another Chivas coach.
Just another Chivas coach. Vado, you got a fan in the chat saying Gotti going, let's go Vado, saying though she was a very dull match versus Pachuca, quite the snooze fest. And Gotti really showing her colors today, saying vamos Leano. So
That's our fellow Chivarmano right
Leaño.
there.
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed, Gotti. I'm disappointed. But no, look, I mean, both teams coming into this one a little bit in different circumstances, right? You guys definitely were struggling with the whole hashtag fuera Vucetic, and you guys were playing the most attractive football, yet some of the results were kind of going in your guys' favor. But again, your manager is then fired. You guys are looking optimistic for the future. America, though, on the other hand, coming into this one, looking in really good shape. I mean, the best we've looked in years, gentlemen, right? Quote unquote undefeated until we get to face off against Toluca, Champions League in the final for CONCACAF Champions League. Also not playing the most beautiful football, but it looks like we're playing at least somewhat disciplined and rigid enough to understand what it is that the Solari side was going to be doing. But again, none of this tends to matter, Christian, when you come and talk about a Clásico Nacional.
No, definitely not. We always say it. We say it every single year. Form, means nothing when it comes to the biggest game of the year. But like I said earlier, both teams are, this is probably the start of something new. America wants to get back on the right track with the win. Chivas now, after firing Vucetic, they want to show that, they are a good team, going forward. So, and what better way to do it than, beating your rivals, right? So, a lot of factors going into this match. This should paint for one of the better ones in recent years. So I just hope we get a nice showing on Saturday.
Definitely. Rado, to you, do these games still make or break seasons for not just Chivas but America fans in your perspective?
I mean, definitely, right? When they announced the calendar, that's one of the first games as I think Chivas and America fans both look look around for it, see where it lands, see if you start making plans, maybe to head out to Mexico, either Estadio Azteca or Akron. But due to the pandemic and whatnot, it hasn't been that easy to travel to games right now. But I mean, yeah, I think fans look forward to this game. It's one of the biggest games in Liga MX. Ratings don't lie. People watch this game, even if they're not Chivas or America fans. So this game is always going to be, I think, the biggest Clasico in Mexico.
Still to this day, the number one game viewed, I think, here in the States as far as the regular season goes. So, again, like Vado
Hmm.
said, the numbers don't lie. So, the whole world will be captivated by this match. I'll make the argument and die on that hill. Gary saying, you guys know I will never want America to win, even. I will never want America to win ever. Solari, though, one handsome man. Well, nice to see where her ties and affiliations are going. But going back to this whole Clasico Nacional debate. But I think we've talked about this a couple of times before. In recent years, it's definitely I don't think it necessarily lived up to the hype, but it's just maybe being a little bit deflated. Maybe it's because of how things have been recent years. Both teams haven't been at the very top of things. You guys have been struggling. We've been a little bit up and down sometimes. Is this still the same Super Clásico Nacional that we all grew up with watching and anticipating? Or do you think that the criticisms are correct, that there is, room for improvement and that game doesn't carry as much weight as it used to?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that based off the last couple of Clásicos and how they end up going most of the time, but I just think it's so rare and it's been a while since Chivas and America both are at the top at the same time. It's usually one or the other. Unfortunately, for Chivas, usually they've been the ones struggling going into the game. But I think it doesn't matter. You still want to win this game. You don't want to lose to your rivals. I know Chivas is definitely looking forward to going into Azteca and ruining America fans' night. Especially Juan Brizuela. I know he likes to drop goals on
Yeah,
the
he likes
Ochoa
to
and
show up.
Estadio Azteca.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the game. I think it still lives up to the hype, even though sometimes the goals don't get there.
Well, AJ, as I say that, I also say this. We just saw Super Classico here in the United States not too long ago, and you saw the passion in the stands. You saw the drive, not just only from America fans, but Chivas side as well. Um, there's still kind of that lust for this game. It might be a little bit lackluster sometimes on the pitch, but I think the fans still try to do their part on trying to continue to paint this game for what it is, or at least for what the history's shown it can be.
Yeah, no. Anytime when it's a Clasico, everyone's giving it their all. Even the fans, they want it to be a very entertaining match. They paid their tickets to go see these two teams clash out for the full 90 minutes. They want to give the support to both of their teams. You have a lot of people cheering, yelling, causing drama. You maybe get the occasional pitch invaders trying to cause havoc on the pitch. But despite over throughout the years, maybe we have not seen that many goals being scored in Clásicos, but it's still the Clasico Nacional. It's still the biggest game in Mexico, and it means a lot to both of these teams to have a lot of history between each other. Yeah, Chivas on their side, they have not been really America in quite some time, these Clásicos in the regular season, but they still show up to these games in America. Same can be said them as well. They give it their all in this Clásico against Chivas.
I just want to bring up something that Frank says. He says, I get more excited to play against Cruz Azul, Tigres, or Rayados. Sorry, but you got to be more relevant sooner or later. And look, he's not the only one that kind of shares that opinion. There's a lot of America fans out there that maybe gravitate towards that as well, saying that they get more of a thrill having to play a team that maybe has been a little bit more on top than Chivas has. And Chris saying, I just feel nowadays we walk into Clásicos way more confident than we used to, and for the most part always end up with the result. A little bit touching on what Vado was saying. But I don't know, Vado, do you think that you know the reason why we don't feel the same way we used to, or at least some fans can make that argument, because we don't have enough canteranos playing for both side of the for both teams the way that we used to have in old clásicos.
Yeah, I think that could be one of the reasons. I think Chivas actually has improved on that since the last time we did one of these pods. We have a little bit more of canteranos out there, but yeah, I think that takes a little bit of the fire out of the game, right? Because if you come up in either in America or Chivas as an institutional player, you come up right. You come up hating. If you're a Chivas player, you come up hating America, you come up hating Atlas. And then if you're an America player, you come up hating Chivas and Pumas and every other team that plays in Mexico City because there's like 20 of them.
There is.
But but yeah, I think Canteranos add a little bit to the fire of the game, and I know America. Like off the top of my head, I can name like Cordoba probably the only Canterano I can name. Ochoa, those are probably like the two. Like I'm not too familiar with the younger players, but yeah, I think Canteranos add fire to the game, and a lack of them kind of could be the reason why the game has lost some of its fire, I guess.
Definitely. I mean, piggyback off what he just said, Christian, he just mentioned it. I think Cordova and Ochoa are the only two canteranos that are going to be featuring in this Clásico. Unfortunately, Santi Naveda, who could
Yeah,
arguably make a run for that position in the starting 11, is out due to injury. But then after that, you don't really have anyone else coming through the ranks that has kind of the feeling for the jersey. I'm not saying that the foreigners don't understand it, and I think
right.
there's maybe a couple of few in that squad that
Yeah.
truly, feel the passion for it. But do you think that's
Mhm.
one of the main reasons as to why maybe some America fans don't view this game as that nitty gritty game that we used to kind of all just anticipate weeks in advance?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So, back in the day, you would always hear, leading up to the games, any player, whether it be a foreigner or a Mexican, just say, this is the biggest game of the year. I don't like them. They don't like us. We're always gonna be the better team of Mexico. You don't really get that kind of that fire instilled, and from both sides, honestly. I can't remember. I can't remember the last time, there was, a comment made here or there that kind of sparked up the Clasico a little bit, right? But you do have players from America that are foreigners that do feel the colors and they do feel what it means to play a Clasico. I mean, we saw Fidalgo give an interview last week how he understands what it means to be a part of America and what the game against Chivas means to the institution and to the fans. So that's why whenever he gets on the pitch, he's going to give 110%. More players like that are going to make the game better. It's just unfortunate that right now I don't think in either side they have that in them, and that definitely does take away from the spectacle of the game. But I will say this though, America Chivas, it will always be a big game, no matter which way you put it. It's always going to be the biggest game of the year, and that's just how it is going to be. It's always going to be like that. Whether Cruz Azul or Monterrey or Tigres are in better form, um, you like Varo said earlier, America Chivas, that's literally the first game I always look for on the calendar, see when is it going to be, whose stadium is going to be first, and games leading up to it, because it's just that kind of game that just brings that out of you. You don't go and pencil in, America versus Monterrey, right? Because you just don't do that. So America Chivas will always be the Clásico Nacional no matter what. But yes, I feel like in recent years it has died down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that this Saturday, has to be like that, right? This could be the start of a chain of great Clásicos for years to come.
Interesting. I like it. I mean, I'll say this much: the week leading up to it is not as intense as it was growing up as a kid, and like constantly seeing it like freaking football picante or like stuff where they like
Right.
completely hype it up. But the day of is kind of like, oh, it's
Like
game
you
day.
wake up and you're like, oh,
It's
okay.
game day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Mhm.
So it's gonna be interesting. Well, why don't we get down to it? Why don't we talk about the game of the season for America and Chivas? So this game's gonna be on Saturday. That's gonna be at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern at the Estadio Azteca. America's coming into this one and looking to bounce back off that defeat against Toluca and looking to regain their form. Whilst Chivas, like Varo mentioned, coming in with a new coach, hopefully a breath fresh of air, trying to bring the upset to the Estadio Azteca. Look, I mentioned it time and time again. form doesn't matter for anything. I think at the end of the day, it's a team that wants it the most is the team that's going to get it. And in recent years, we've seen America best Guadalajara. And I know some people are coming into this one a little bit more confident, saying, you know what, that Toluca one was just a hiccup. But again, I think we have to be a little cautious of this side, Christian. It's not like Chivas is just kind of folding and rolling over because Vado talked about it, undefeated in the last 4 games. They're doing at least they were doing something right with Vucetich. Now with this new manager, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but again, can't underestimate any opponent, especially when it comes to Chivas.
No, definitely, and we all know Chivas has a good squad, right? Well, whether it be a coach's fault or player attitude or something, that's just besides the point. Chivas have a good team, and the 11 they're gonna put out, it's gonna be good. The I guess the cautious part you're talking about is that now teams know our weaknesses. Toluca exploited that very well on Saturday, actually 3 times. And the world saw how bad, or how, I guess, yes, how bad our defense actually is than what the numbers showed, right? I think in more games than not, we could say that Ochoa, has saved America from, conceding, 3 or more goals throughout the season, right? So, the league knows that America's defense is not as strong as one might think. So, that's going to be an exploding point for whatever team that comes in. So, Chivas has to take that into consideration with the squad that they have. There is some potential holes they can expose, and I really hope that defense and defensive work and tracking back is a main point for Solari this week, because we saw what happened on Saturday, right? And we cannot have a repeat of that come this Saturday.
No, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how Solari plans himself, and I'll ask for a predicting starting 11 a little bit later down the road, but it will be interesting to see how he tries to plug in those gaps that we showed clearly against Toluca, against Chivas, because, again, anyone watching that game can just pick out and pinpoint, like, oh, okay, so this, and that is all you got to do to overcome America's defense, which I think is the number one worrisome thing. Vado, how is Chivas coming into this one? What's kind of the vibe and the environment coming into this game from at least a Chivas perspective?
Well, I think there was definitely locker room issues going on. I think Vucetich had lost the locker room already, and based on what he puts out on the field and the style that he wanted to play, I don't think we have any idea what Chivas is going to look like on Saturday. We haven't lived up to our potential all season. Vucetich was with us for a little over a year, and you can't tell what he worked on, what he tried to implement on the field. So I don't know. We're undefeated in our last 4 games. We haven't been conceding goals this season a lot. I think we've given up 8 goals all season. So our defense isn't too bad. I think we'll be all right going into Saturday night.
Okay, so a little bit more confident than maybe years prior.
I just think that there's no way for America really to plan for the game on Saturday. Like, you don't know what to expect. You got a brand new coach. You might have a whole new lineup. He might give canteranos a chance that never have played this season, maybe, or guys that have been on the bench all season are going to start on Saturday night, maybe. So I just think the unexpected is exciting for fans right now.
Interesting. And AJ, to that point of having to play against the unexpected, against the unknown, I think all you can really do at that point is just try to improve the game that you know how to do, or that at least you've been trying to implement all season long. We know that this side is a very possessive side, and we know that they like to work the ball around, move it around the pitch, get players in promising positions. I don't know. Would you agree to the fact that we'd have to maybe just play our game and let the rival kind of settle against us rather than trying to settle against the opponent?
The thing is, like Vado mentioned, we don't know what this Chivas is going to have, considering they got a whole new manager. Maybe it's not the greatest idea to, let it settle in, because what if, like, worst case to come, just like Toluca, they score in the opening minutes and we're just like, okay, what just happened to us? And then at that point, get yourself back in game. I feel like from the get-go, America's just got to do what they've been doing best throughout this entire season, just playing that possessive game, making those plays happen, find those players in those good positions as well, being very careful with the gaps that we leave in defense, because Toluca completely exploited us in that aspect. And as well, this Chivas side, when by unexpected goals, they really mean it. They've been scoring really late into games at times, so I feel it's really important for Solari. If it's the last couple minutes of the match to keep that defense as tight as possible, there's been moments where Chivas has scored in the 89th minute, the 90th, even during extra time in the second half. So at that point, just be very cautious of them because at any point in time, they could probably just give us a surprise. And from there on out, just America, they just got to do the homework and figure out what they can do to prevent this Chivas side from trying to score really late goals into the match, whether if we're up a goal, up by 2 goals, or it's currently tied. And we definitely don't want to be conceding goals in the last minute against them.
Yeah, and I think it's like Chris mentioned it here. He's saying, if we're being honest, the plan is to do what Solari's been doing ever since he arrived with the midfield and be aggressive in the front, in the final third, really. So in his eyes, Cordoba and Fidalgo both need to start, and I think we all can agree to that. And whether or not he can find a place for them in the starting 11 where they can both actually function, that is a different story. Frank saying very confidently, Fidalgo will dance around the defense. We have nothing to worry about. Although I haven't seen the best of Fidalgo in this league just yet. I know he had himself quite the game against Philadelphia, but again, need to see more of that Fidalgo man up top. But again, it's like Vados mentioned, that kind of unknown, unexpected, which Vado, you guys are going to try to use to your advantage. I mean, what could you see potentially working for Chivas in this game?
I think we come out with a high press and just attack from the get go. Just go for it all. Just throw haymakers out from the first minute, because I think, like you guys said, if we hit you guys in the first couple of minutes, we score a goal. That brings back kind of memories of what happened to you against Toluca. Doubts start to form, and then if our new coach plays like a fast team like I would like him to, I think we have a chance on counterattacks, especially if we go up early. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a fast-paced squad. Use Antuna right. If Vega somehow miraculously is clear to go for Saturday night, put Vega in. Give me like that Angulo, Vega, Antuna trident I've been wanting to see. We started the Olympics for a little. It kind of worked. I think it could work at Chivas. But Vucetich loved to play possession game, have a ball. We didn't really know how to create anything. So I think this is what Chivas needs to do on Saturday. Come out with everything they got in the first 10, 15 minutes.
All right. So a fast-paced team. So we guess we can all agree that Oribe Peralta will be seen at the starting 11 pitch then, as he might be your fastest forward.
I think he broke his back the other night when he missed a 6-inch sitter, I think so. He hit him back on the post. He'll be for the season.
He'll be the maestro that Chivas needed. He's the maestro they definitely needed. Look how he gave us the W against Cruz Azul in the final. Gave us that W. Almost has stats on. So
can't believe that guy came out and said he wanted a new contract. But again, that's neither here nor there. But it goes to show that this, like you mentioned, Christian, this Chivas side has potential. We saw it in the Olympics. They got some really good fast players that, I mean, let's face it, our defense isn't the fastest. And whenever we see pace getting thrown at Emmanuel Aguilar and Bruno Valdez, we all start to shake and start doubting whether or not this team is going to be capable of holding off against anything. With that said, though, the defense has to be as sharp as possible in this game. I mean, the sharpest we've seen them all season long. I'm talking from the goalkeeper to the back line to our center defensive mids. We just have to be in full concentration mode.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, like to everyone's point, I think America is going to have to rely on their midfield to kind of win in this game. I think Solari knows that America has to be kind of the protagonist in this game. Control the ball and, make Chivas work for it. Yes, it's going to be unpredictable what they're going to pull out, but in that case, you just have to play your game and just be the ones to dominate the match. And, Solari doesn't do that, then we're going to have a very, very difficult time, scoring against Chivas on Saturday.
Alrighty then. Well, you kind of make a pretty good argument. I think that, while Vado makes a good point, this America side is prone to a little bit of weakness whenever the team starts going at them. I mean, you saw it especially against Philadelphia. There was times where Philly just completely just outpaced us, outmuscled us at times, and it proved very effective against us, right? They didn't have their shooting boots on that day, and Ochoa had himself one amazing night. But again, it goes to show the weaknesses that we have in that defense that we keep saying season after season after season, and for some reason we still yet to fix it. So again, coming into this one with a lot of gaps and holes here and there, but looking to be as optimistic as possible. Now, I don't know how long Chivas can keep that kind of high press, kind of keep that high mobility going against us. I do feel like, Vado, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel that this Chivas side might be a little bit more, reluctant to do, or at least maybe be in favor of trying to counterattack us, since they do know that they have the speed. So is that something that you guys could potentially also plan for?
I mean, yeah, I think countering America would also work, especially I think we've seen in the past Clásicos when the Clásico starts, America is usually the team that is pressing against Chivas for those first 10, 15 minutes. Is kind of like if we survive that first 10, 15-minute onslaught, we kind of tend to settle into the game more often than not. But, I would finally like to be the team that's the one that comes out and presses for those first 10, 15 minutes as opposed to being on the opposite side. And I think that's what's exciting about a coach, and especially what Peláez and our new coach has been saying. They didn't like the style we were playing. They want somebody new with new ideas. They want someone that's going to get the best out of our young players. So I think that's something to be excited about, and I hope that it shows on Saturday night. But yeah, playing counterattack football can work. So we have Antuna. If Vega comes back, we might have Vega. We have Angulo, who's pretty quick too. So I think we can play the counterattack, but I would like to just come out those first 10, 15 minutes with everything we got and see if we can put one past Ochoa.
Interesting. Will be interesting to see if whether or not you guys do that, or if we stick to that tendency, like you mentioned, and we are the more aggressive side, which I think is exactly what Solari's going to want to do, especially at home. Again, trying to erase the memories of Toluca. So, only way to do that is to get yourself on the score sheet first. Jerry saying, look, if there's an early goal for Chivas, I expect them to sit back and park the bus a bit. Toluca kept applying pressure this past weekend. America must be ready for everything. I agree with Jerry in the fact that America needs to be prepared for all options in this one, Christian. Again, we're kind of rolling the dice here, right? It's kind of like a wild card situation because you don't know necessarily what this Chivas side is going to put out. So your best bet is to just kind of focus on your game and go out there and try to, like I told AJ, implement what you've been doing this past season.
Yeah, definitely. So, America is gonna have to come out there, and then hopefully, if Chivas does come out, high pressing and bombarding America with the pressure that Vado is saying, America's gonna have to learn how to soak it. Like you said, Ivan, in the past game against Philadelphia, there were a lot of moments where Philly were on us, and they were getting good looks at the goal. Some couple of defensive plays here, Ochoa here, and we saved ourselves from maybe being down 1-0 in Philly. So I think America has experience in kind of absorbing that pressure. It's just Philly is not Chivas, right? So this pressure that Chivas gonna apply is gonna be a lot harder and a lot more intense. So America's gonna have to be ready, or else this could be looking at a early deficit, and that's something America does not want to fall into.
Definitely. I mean, we'll see, and it's all gonna be based on how Solari ends up putting the starting 11, which we'll get to in just a second, Christian, and you'll give us kind of your predicted starting 11. But again, everything that kind of the fundamentals that we talk about have to kind of coincide with what this side is going to be looking like from the get-go. But before I ask about your starting 11, Christian, let me remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check out footcult.com. Use the discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Foot Cult products, which, by the way, they keep making some amazing gear for everyone. Those shorts, AJ, those shirts are coming in clutch.
They don't miss. They don't miss with any products. Like, I'm slacking. I already missed on one of the releases, and then I just heard they might not be doing it ever again until further notice. So, see, don't be like me. use that discount code, get you some shorts, and just wear them. Honestly, they're comfy. I got one of them right now. Amazing.
Perfect. Again, thank you to Full Cult for sponsoring today's episode. All right, Christian, I'll let you take it away from here. What is your predicting starting 11 for the game on Saturday?
Yes, so I saw a couple of mentions. I think so. I will go back to the 4-3-3 for this Saturday. We're gonna have Ochoa in net. The back four will be Jorge Sanchez, Bruno Valdez, Manuel Aguilar, and Luis Fuentes. In the midfield, Pedro Aquino, Richard Sanchez, and Alvaro Fidalgo. On one side, we'll have Salvador Reyes. On the other side, Sebastián Córdoba, and then up top, Roger Martinez.
All right, let's talk about this real quickly because there are a couple of questions I have for you, Christian, in regards to the starting 11. Why Reyes on the left wing position and why Fuentes in the left back spot? Yeah, why no Linus?
I think I like Reyes better than Linus in this spot. I think Reyes opens up more spots, more spaces. His crosses are 10 times better. Disregard the game Saturday. Besides that game, I think Reyes is overall just been a better explosive player for us. Linus for me is a little bit stagnant and too predictable. Whether it be maybe speed that he has over Reyes. I just prefer Reyes over Linus in this spot.
Interesting. Chris bringing up a really good point. He's saying, "Oh Lord, I don't know if I want Fuentes against their wingers and next to Manuel Aguilera." That is like the biggest weak point you could potentially put, and Antuna might be playing in that position. So you're asking for trouble, man.
He's in a Chivas jersey though. It's not the Mexico national team.
But he's still fast, and Fuentes and Aguilera
So you have
don't.
two players that can interchange at any single moment, any given time.
They might know how to use Antuna this time, so there's hope for us.
Exactly.
I mean, prepare the unexpected. He ends up playing left back or something. Just plays a position he's not supposed to play in. So they can throw a curveball right at you at that point.
I don't think that's what Vado meant by the unexpected, but
it's unexpected.
We fired Vucetich already.
Hey, I mean,
look, it's interesting. That is my main concern: the fact that you don't bring in Linus and you don't put Reyes in the left back, because I think you need cover on that left hand side.
You do have cover. You have basically two, in essential, left backs playing on that left hand side. At any given moment, they can interchange, and one can track back, one can go up. It's the beauty of playing Reyes over Linus. Linus does track back a lot. Yes, I understand, but I would prefer Reyes on an offensive side rather than Linus. And that's with Linus being a true left winger. That says a lot about his season so far.
Interesting. Well, another thing to note out here: Roger Martinez gets to start over Henry Martin, who is in a bit of a goal streak here. Two goals in his last two games. Roger not really hitting the mark for a lot of people. Why does he get to start?
Solari prefers him over Henry and Venus. Simple as that.
As simple as that. I don't know. I think especially what Henry did in the last Clasico Nacional, I think Henry might start.
If Henry starts, but Roger's going to start either way. So if Roger starts, then someone else has to sit. I mean, if Henry starts, then someone else has to sit. He's not benching Roger. He's not benching his most talented player. Even though he's not been Roger these past couple of games, he's not going to bench in this game.
You put him on the wing, done.
You put him on
the wing.
Put him on the wing.
Take out
Cordova. He's got to sit out. He did against Toluca.
No, you don't bench your number 10 for this game.
There you go.
You don't bench your number 10 for this game. It's interesting. I'll say the least.
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of
very interesting.
Move around here.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it takes, if it is or if it isn't. But again, interesting starting 11 there. Vado, what could Chivas potentially play on Saturday? Which I know is a big ask because you just mentioned it. You don't know exactly what you're gonna get from this side or who you might get in the starting 11. But as far as what you would prefer, what would you like to see?
Well, I think it's fun now because usually when you ask me for my predicted lineups, it's what do I expect the coach to put out and not exactly what I would like to see out there. But I think this time I can give you what I would like to see out there because anything is possible, right?
Yeah.
You're the coach. You're the coach. So
exactly. Put me in. I got this. I think Gudiño at goal. He's been solid for us since he took over for Toño Rodriguez, who has yet again managed to lose the starting goalkeeper position at Chivas for like the fifth or sixth time. I don't know
Let's go.
how many more attempts this guy's gonna get. At left back, I'm putting Alejandro Mayorga. Center backs, we got Luis Olivas and Pollo Briseño. At right back, I'm gonna play a natural right back. Imagine that, playing a natural right back in the right back position. And Chapo Sanchez at right back. In the midfield, I'm going with Fernando Beltran, who apparently Vucetich hated, and Beltran must be out of his mind that Vucetich is gone. I'm pairing him with Lalo Torres in the midfield. And then I'm putting Angulo in there. I'm putting Brizuela, Antuna, and if Vega's back, put him at the striker. Screw it, you know. I want to see. Me and the Chivas Norte guys have been wanting to see Alexis Vega get a shot at striker since he came to Chivas, because that's what he used to play at Toluca before he came over. So if he's healthy and he can go, throw Vega in at striker, and if he's not healthy, give me Saldivar, and maybe this coach will finally know how to use him. Because I think Saldivar is good, but no coach has managed to use him right. I think Almeida started to, but then he got hurt, so we never saw what could have been.
Interesting. I mean, you guys aren't short of pace. Let's be honest. If that lineup comes out,
Yeah,
again, gonna have to be something to worry about. No Molina though. I see.
bro, Molina belongs in the retirement home with Oribe Peralta, right? Get off my team, like.
Oh man, the guy looked hilarious. Not that the injury was hilarious, but the bandage that he was all wrapped up in the Clasico Nacional in Dallas. It was very interesting to see why he continued to play.
I mean, there was a point in time where he was arguably the best signing made in a transfer window. That just summarized Chivas' entire transfer window. When an old man like him was one of your best players at that point. So I mean, who knows?
Shots fired. We'll see though. But again, Christian, it's a good team that we potentially could be seeing against America on Saturday.
Of course, I said it earlier. Chivas squad. When you look at it on paper, you can have a good 11 out there. It's just, like I said, whether it be a coach, whether it be players not being informed, for whatever reason, they just haven't been themselves in recent years. But all it takes is one game, and why not against America, right? Because everyone loves to turn into prime Barcelona when they play against America.
Of course, and this is the game to do it, right? All eyes on you, at least as far as the nation of Mexico goes, and let's face it, the United States as well. We'll be ranking up the views
and
here.
Canada.
And Canada, of course, can't forget the numbers in Canada are very well. It's the game, right? It's the game to show up, and because of that, who in your eyes in an America jersey needs to show up, AJ? Who is the one player that is going to be detrimental to this America side to getting 3 points and the bragging rights and everything that comes along winning a Clásico Nacional?
It's got to be Chava Reyes for me. Since we picked him up, everyone's having their eyes on him. He was named the best left back in the league last season, if I'm not mistaken, one of the best youngsters in the entire league. And what he's been doing at America so far has definitely been great stuff for us, really. I just want to see him, nab himself a goal or two against Chivas. Let everyone know the reason to why we signed him up in the first place. And every time he's played on that pitch, he's been giving us 110%. I feel like he's definitely going to be crucial. We need some explosiveness on the team, and Chava Reyes is definitely a player who has a bunch of explosiveness right on him. Who he could definitely take on defenders, cut in the box, get a shot, set plays up for his teammates. So he's got to do what he's got to do. So for me, he's my player that's key for this match against Chivas.
Okay, I like it. Alrighty then. Christian, who's your go-to player? Who do you think needs to have the biggest game?
There's a reason why they gave him a number 10, right? This man needs to show up. These are the games that why they give you the number 10. All right. For me so far, Cordova has not done it this year. He has not been worthy of the 10 this year. You know what gets him across that line? A good performance in this game. Cordova, man, I need you to create. I need you to shoot. I need you to stop being scared of whatever it is, making passes, dribbling players. You can't do that. None of that this Saturday. I need Cordova to be Cordova. I need Cordova to be the number 10 of Club America this Saturday. Cordova has to have a huge match.
What a world we live in nowadays. That now I'm not the one bashing on Cordoba. Yeah, it's other people as well. But it's true.
It's
It's
the
true
truth.
because the man hasn't performed. That number 10 jersey is starting to look a little bit too heavy on him, and he needs to come out here and perform and do stuff, right? Gary saying don't disrespect Cordoba like that, but Cordoba is disrespecting himself because he's not living to the stature of a number 10 jersey. I will come back and say it. The man has a consistency issue. He does not know how to put in 2-3 weeks of a good shift in an America jersey, and I think that is what irritates me. That's what
And it's
gets
holding
me.
him back, if we're being
Yeah,
honest.
and it is because that's the thing. It's just like, come on, man, you have the talent. Someone said it like, he could arguably be the most talented player on our squad, but he's not showcasing it.
Of
And
course,
these are the
it's
games to
annoying.
do it, right?
And
Fantastic.
I understand he's not being played in this position like what he normally wants to play, but you can't have that excuse when you're wearing the 10, right? You have to excel at almost anything. And whether maybe you're not excelling in dribbling players, then create, go cut it inside and create, do something, because he's done nothing of that sort in maybe the past 3 weeks. He didn't do it in Philly when he came on against Luca. I didn't even know he came on. I think it was 10v10 when he came on. I did not see a glimpse of him against the Luca as well. This is the game. It has to be the game.
It definitely does have to be the game. Um, Jerry saying those shoes Gio left are huge. Cries internally. But look, my player is probably gonna be the same one Chris saying if we go with Christian's lineup, Roger Martinez. I mean, the man has to beast out, and I agree with Chris. I think this is also a player that's been lacking consistency, and this is a
True.
player that
We knew that already,
has,
though.
huh?
But we knew he has a consistency problem since the day he joined Club America.
Exactly, but you think we all said it under Solari had to be a different
Oh
situation,
yeah, you're right.
and all that stuff. And look, if he wants to keep that starting 11 spot, he needs to earn it. You mentioned it, probably the most talented player that we have on the pitch. The guy who can run around circles, can shrug people off the ball, contain it, dribble, do elasticals all day long. But if you're not putting the ball in the back of the net, then why are you playing in that position? You know, so needs to go out there, needs to score some goals, and needs to prove as to why he is the go-to man for Solari in that number 10 spot. So again, a couple players to look out for. AJ's going Chava Reyes, Christian, and like the rest of the Americanismo going with our number 10, Cordoba, and of course me with Roger Martinez. Varo, who is the one player Chivas is going to be heavily relying on to do and create stuff in order for this team to walk away with a result, which I also wanted to ask to you, what is a result against America in the Clásico Nacional?
What do you mean? What is the result?
Yeah,
What do I want to happen? I
no,
want to win.
like is as a win is nothing accepted but just a win, or if you walk away with a draw, is that still suffice to as a result?
Nah, I want to win that game. That's a must-win game for both teams. I think a draw, is always disappointing. So I definitely want to win that game. I'm not taking the draw or a loss. We've had enough of those with Vucevic. We need to start winning games.
All right, okay. So then, who's the player that's gonna try to orchestrate everything for you guys?
Um, I think we're gonna have to rely a lot on Gula right now. He's pretty much the guy creating, but I would love to see Antuna step up. My God, you're at Azteca, right? You shine with the national team. Wear your national team jersey under your Chivas jersey and perform like you do with the national team. We need assists from him. We need him to make. He was making some nice runs at the end of that Pachuca game, which was really nice to see, especially going into the Clasico. So I need Antuna to step up on Saturday night. He has to step up because quiet. Him and Vega were creating a lot of our offense these past 3 seasons. So I know he can do it. His Smirnoff brother isn't out there right now, but he can do it by himself, right? So Antuna's my guy.
Antuna, interesting. Okay, I like it. Again, it's probably one of the players that we all would look out for because again, his pace is definitely gonna be worrying a lot of us because, like we mentioned, our center backs could practically be on wheelchairs and still not catch this man up because we are just it's terrible back there and then extremely terrible. Again, A lot of good names though. A lot of good names. A lot of good shouts. Look, it's promising. Classicals are always promising, but again, I think we're due for a good game. I don't know if we're ever gonna get a 3-3 game that we got back in 2005 at the Estadio Azteca. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get a game like that. Um, but I expect this game to be a good back and forth matchup, especially if Varo says that Chivas plays the way that they intend to play. Because, like we mentioned, we have that tendency to leave gaps, and then we're kind of rushing in the back line, trying to fix and patch gaps here and there. But I could see our front offensive line, being, whether that be Cordova, Fidalgo, Roger, or Linus, or whoever fits in that position, bringing the game to Chivas and actually making them sweat, making them think about it, and putting themselves in the position. There's one thing I do want to add is, bless you, AJ. One thing I do want to add is we got to be clinical. How many times have we seen it this season? Chance after chance after chance, and we're not putting those goals away.
Yeah.
And it goes back down to Roger Martinez being the clinical striker, Cordova stepping up and having a good game, Fidalgo too, who gets himself a good chance here and there, needs to start putting these chances away. And really, it's gonna come down to, like I mentioned, who wants it the most, who wants that bragging rights, right? There's a lot that comes to winning the Clasico, and we'll see. I mean, do you guys know if Varo, do you know if anything from the Guadalajara side, if they're putting any bets on the line?
Not that I've seen, but they usually do, right? They usually. I remember
Yeah,
they
they
did it
usually
last
do
year.
like
Like
mariachi.
they did it like they donated meals or something like that
Yeah.
last
Which
season.
I think is a pretty cool idea.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's a really cool
And I
idea.
know
I think,
Amaury's like all about that. I think even with Atlas, I think last season they donated like an ambulance or something like that. I think, or two of them. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I haven't seen anything, but that's always a positive thing, right? To kind of reinforce that whole the rivalry should stay on the pitch, not jump to the stands or whatever.
yeah, no, I agree. It should, it definitely, it's a rivalry that stays on the pitch, and at the end of the day, we're all part of the big Liga MX family, and so try to contribute to our communities in any way possible. So I do think, and I hope they continue that bet, Amauri and Escarraga. Um, it's always fun to see exactly what these two clubs put on the line. I know that some players have sometimes tried to bet in the past. I remember Marco Fabian once wanted to bet Raul Jimenez like a car or something. Um,
I thought
and
you were gonna say around the
Raul
beers.
said no because he's like, I don't make that type of money. But we should have said yes because we won that Clasico. Could have been walking away with a brand new car. But again, should be interesting. But talking about betting, Christian, you are the man to go with the bets. How would you delegate the listeners in regards to placing their bets for Saturday's game?
Don't listen to me because these are this is one of the games where I kind of go overboard more than I should. So I'm not gonna say anything. Just know if you want to bet America, I would get them now before that line goes down because it's gonna go down. So just if you want to place a bet, place it in now.
There you go. Bet responsibly. And Chris saying, y'all should do a bet within podcast. And Kari saying, I agree. Bet something very aggressively. Um, but I don't know. Nothing comes out to the top of my head right now.
We can talk about it off camera and then we can decide afterwards.
Of course. We'll see. Well. I mean, Varo's got to kind of, he's got to talk to, the other representatives of the,
That's what I'm
Chivas
saying.
podcast. He can't just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna bet, the domain or something. It just wouldn't work that way.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something cool. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, though, look, it's a Clásico Nacional. It's hard not to get sucked into the hype because of the history, because of the passion, because of what these two clubs mean institutionally speaking, not just to their set of fans, but to the league and the history themselves. It's always painting for a good game, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited and I can't wait for kickoff. Because again, there's nothing like a Clásico Nacional. You spend it with your family and you're there all together and you're watching the game and you're just surrounded by good drinks, good food, good people. That I think is what makes the atmosphere just that much more better. So ultimately, I'm excited to see how this game goes down. But because of that, it's time to ask for your guys' predictions. And for everyone listening right now in the chat, make sure you guys go predict your scoreline. I'll be reading them off in just a second. But Varo, seeing as how you are our guest, I will throw it to you first. What is your prediction for the game on Saturday at the Estadio Azteca?
2-0 Chivas.
Wow. It's adventurous. Really
I
adventurous. I
believe
like
in
it.
Leaño, right? Undefeated. We average 2 goals a game when he's our coach. We don't give goals. It's gonna happen again.
Senses that precede unfortunate events.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. 2-0 though, like I said. Really really interesting to see right here. But alrighty then. AJ, what is your prediction for the game?
Play back 3-0. Why not? We smoked them at home. So we'll smoke.
Damn it, AJ, you were even
Rest
more
up there.
adventurous than Vado in this one.
They weren't ready.
And what makes you think they're not ready again?
I mean, they don't have the clown that's Vucetic anymore. So I mean, they can maybe do something, but I don't know. I don't think they'll do anything to us at home. Ain't happening.
Alright, well, AJ's
They'll-
been even more
Look,
riskier.
last time Leaño took over, he took over for Luis Fernando Tena. And it was the same thing. Luis Fernando Tena was dragging Chivas through the mud, and we looked like crap. And then Leaño took over for one game, and it's like one of the best games Chivas has played in the past couple of years. So I'm telling you guys, it's gonna happen again. Leaño makes us look good. He knows the players. He knows them coming up and through the academy. I'm sure he's a fan. He's tired of watching boring games. I think we're gonna get a good one on Saturday.
I hope so.
Okay. Let's see.
I hope so.
You know what? Frank, he brought up a really good thing. He's saying change your Twitter profiles pic. That should be the bet. So if
Should we
if
change
they
the
win,
bios too?
No. We put the Ricardo Pelaez profile picture, and if they lose, then they put Santiago Baños since they both want. Both fan base want their presidents out. But okay, AJ, very adventurous. 3-0. I don't know where you got that kind of confidence. But okay, Christian, give me a little bit of a more realistic result. What is your prediction for the game on Saturday?
You said realistic, so I couldn't say my original thought, but I'm gonna go 2-0 America.
2-0 America. All right. What was your other one? I don't even want to ask.
4-1 America.
4-1 America. Where the hell are you guys getting all
Hey,
goals from?
remember
You can
last
barely
time?
score 2.
Remember what we did last in the Pachuca, and no one believed Christian. Remember that. So it was one of those nights.
I can't at all. But all right, let's read some of these on the comments. Christopher is saying 3-1 America score. 3-1 for America. Henry scores 1. Cordova scores 2. I know all the Cordova fans would be loving that. Gotti going with a 2-1 victory for Chivas. That again, it doesn't surprise me at all.
There
Mary
you
Jane
go.
going with a 2-1 victory for America. Goals from Roger and Fidalgo. Nice. Let's see. Jerry Sanchez going with a 2-0 America win. Classic Solari win. Maybe a jugada polémica. I said it last Clasico Nacional podcast, and I'll say it again. Bet the house, bet the hair, and your little cousin, because it's all going to pay off in the end. Again, if we're betting cousins here, all I'm saying is please bet responsibly.
What goes on this podcast? What are you guys telling people to bet?
We bet the house, we bet little cousins, bet our hair, we bet a toilet at one point. So
I think someone bet the grandma at one point, I think.
Look, man, people are very much confident in some of these bets. I'll say that as much. Frank saying I'm gonna be at my aunt's birthday party. I'll literally be the only America fan in the crowd of Chivas fans. 4-1 America victory. We'll destroy them again. Going very confident with the results. I like it. But we'll see. I'm gonna be a little bit more kind of to ground, and I think America goes with a 2-1 victory. I think they can take it. They go for it. I was gonna say 1-0, but I see a couple goals in this one. So 2-1 America, and well, what can I say? Let's hope that the Americanismo is right on this one. But still, paints for a good game, paints for a good atmosphere, and again, all I can say is let's see what happens. I'm not even gonna read this out loud, but you guys can you guys can read what Jerry Sancho said. But again, should be a fun one. So, gentlemen, anything else to add on this Clásico Nacional? Varo?
No, I just hope we get a good game. You know, it's been a while since we got a classic Clasico. You know.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want. Just that Clásico, something that you can sell people on and saying, you know what, this is Liga MX, this is what Clásico Nacional is, this is what America and Chivas are. So let's see what happens. Christian, AJ, anything else to add on before we wrap it all up?
This is for Gotti. Y'all ruined my boy Ormeño. I don't know what y'all done to him, but my God, please. You should have. America Chance should have gone Ormeño. He could have been scoring goals for us, but he chose Leon instead. And imagine losing to a team that had 29% possession, and you lose to a free kick goal. Not my club.
I like it, AJ. I like it. Christian?
I just want to say thank you to AJ for defending me and my 4-1 ridiculous prediction. Everyone laughed at me last year. It almost came true. It really almost came true. So I wouldn't expect something different this year. But no, whatever.
Okay. Alrighty then. I like it. Well, alrighty then. Well, if that pretty much wraps it up here, we just want to say thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you to AJ. Thank you to Christian. Varo, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's always fun getting to talk America versus Chivas with you. And make sure you say hello to the rest of the Chivas and Norte gang. It should be interesting. We'll see if we put a little bet on the side. And again, thank you for coming out, man.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. These are always fun to do.
Of course. Alrighty then, we'll let you guys go. We'll be here next week to talk all things and recap the Clásico Nacional, how things went in Estadio Azteca, and look ahead into the future for what is another promising game for America away at Hidalgo against Pachuca. So we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. Again, thank you to all of you guys that came out, to all of our listeners, to everyone in the comments. You guys really make these shows just that much more fun. But all right then, gentlemen, let's have a good night. You guys stay safe out there. Please wear your masks. And as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.